Hello everyone, welcome to this presentation. Um, can you see my screen? I just want to be sure that I'm showing my screen to you. Okay, perfect. So my name is Philip Edu. I'm one of the methodology experts, and today I'm going to present the using NVivo to conduct transcendental phenomenological analysis. So as you can see from the diagram here, you can see that experience, participants, you can see phenomenological approach. So this means that for this kind of study, you use phenomenological approach, which this means that you interview participants to capture the experiences, and then you bring all of the experiences together, analyze, and come up with the essence of the experience. So how do you do that? So this is what the presentation is all about, right? So I'm going to give you brief information about Transcendental Phenomenological Approach. I'll give you four main processes that you have to pass through in order to be able to come up with the essence of the experience based on the information you collect from participants. And also going to demonstrate how to use NVivo to do the analysis. So these are the three main areas that I'm going to talk about. As I said during my presentation, if you have any question, just type it in, or you can ask question. I'll give you some time for you to talk if you want to. So that's you learn a lot from this presentation. So what is phenomenological approach, or what is transcendental phenomenological approach? So as the name implies, it's one type of phenomenological approach. So phenomenological approach is all about capturing the experience of participants, analyzing those experiences to come up with the underlying meaning or the essence of the experience. Transcendental is more of trying to attain objectivity. When you're doing qualitative study, most of the time it's very difficult to obtain objectivity because your personal experience and your background might influence how you ask participant questions, how you collect your data, how you analyze your data, how you interpret the findings. So this approach is going to help you to separate your biases from what you are analyzing. So how do you do that? First, you have to think about suspending all your biases, right? As you collect the data from participants, you examine and describe participant experience, and also based on the experience, you come up with the essence of this experience. So the main features of transcendental phenomenological approach is to be able to set aside your preconceived ideas about the phenomenon that you're studying, so that your preconceived ideas, your belief will not adversely affect the interpretation of participant experience. So that's all about it, right? And we call it a puche. That's suspending all your biases, and we will talk more about this concept. So the first thing that you have to think about is epuche. That's the first step, right? So epuche is a Greek word, meaning stay away from or abstain, according to Mr. Mustaka's book. So how do you do it? You suspend all your beliefs, biases, and preconceived ideas, right, concerning the phenomenon that you are studying, and then be willing to accommodate any meaning, right? Any meaning, whether it's against your own belief system, against your own perception, you have to be willing to accept, right? So this means that you are going in the interacting with the concept or the phenomenon that you are focusing on, try to look at different perspective, right? try to be more objective by not allowing your preconceived idea to inform what you have to think about. Let's say you have a positive perception about an issue, and then you're going to do that research. If you don't take out your positive perception or biases, there's high probability that the findings that you're going to get, they are all going to be positive, because like you are desperately searching for positive responses or positive experiences from participants, and you lose the other side, which is negative experiences that you have to look at, right? So that's the need for you to set aside so that you accommodate things that may be contrary to your beliefs or biases, right? So it's more of engaging in some kind of reflective meditation, right? So it's like a meditation. You think through your experience. You maybe close your eyes if you want, and think about your background. Think about your beliefs. Think about who you are. Think about your perception about the topic that you want to study or the experience that you want to collect from participants, right? At the end of the day, you have to attain perception or preconception free state, right? You are being a stage where you have your mind is free from all the preconception about the issue that you are focusing on, right? You give the chance to look at the issue with fresh perspective, right? So in practical, how do we do it? Okay, so first of all, you have to think about your background, your beliefs and biases, perceptions and presumptions related to the phenomenon that you are studying, right? You have to list all of them down, especially those that are might affect the phenomenon or the data analysis process, right? And, so you are trying to cautiously put aside all things that might affect the phenomenon, and you have to be willing to accept or evaluate any idea that comes into mind. Any idea, whether it's contrary to your beliefs, contrary to your perception, contrary to your biases, any idea, be willing to accept. So as I said, at the end of the day, before you even start analyzing the data, you have to reach a state of what? Preconception-free situation or state, if I can put it that way. Am I making sense? Is there any question concerning the first step? According to Mustaka, this is very challenging to do. It's a learning process. You will not get it the first time. See it as you are taking a journey to objectivity, right? You are taking a journey where you reach a stage where you don't have any baggage in terms of biases, beliefs that might affect how you analyze your data. It takes time to accomplish that. And this means that whenever you are about to analyze your data, you have to have time to go through this process. Meditation. Think about yourself. Think about your beliefs. Think about what you're going to study. Right? So that's how you're going to start the process. And you know what? You have to document the process. The reason why you have to document is that to help your audience or the people who are going to read your study to know what exactly you did. And when you are transparent in that process, people will believe what you found out or the result. If you are not transparent, there's no way people are going to believe what you found. Right? Data analysis, qualitative data analysis is a subjective process. The only way to increase the credibility is to document what you are experiencing and be able to report that information to your audience. So the next one is phenomenological reduction. As the name implies, you are reducing the information the participant has given you. Why do you have to reduce it? Because you cannot collect all the transcript and go and present all the information that you collected from participants to your audience. It will take about 10 hours to read everything to them. They might not even make sense of it. So you are reducing the data, but you are not losing the core meaning of the data. So you are reducing the data, and what you're going to get should represent participant experience. So you have to engage in data reduction. You can see that the first stage, which is the epoche, is connected to the second stage because as you are continuously reducing the data, you are bracketing your background, perceptions, and beliefs and biases. We call it bracketing because when you finish the first stage, it doesn't mean that when you're doing the analysis, your biases might not come in. It might come in as you are interpreting the data or as you assign labels to the significant information. And so you have to be aware of things that comes into mind. Always ask yourself, am I in a state, a bias-free state for me to be able to analyze the data? So it's a continuous process. You always have to make sure that you are bracketing or putting aside your preconceived ideas as you are analyzing the data, as you are reducing the data and getting the core meanings of the data. So how do we do that? So as I said, you have to bracket your belief system, beliefs, and other things that might adversely affect the analysis. And the second stage is to go through this transcript, right? Based on the research question, identify statements or experiences, participant experiences that might help you to address the research question. Right. So you go through the transcript, you identify those experiences, and then based on these information, you'll be able to develop themes based on the information that you have taken out from the main transcript. You'll be able to develop the core meaning, which are the themes, right? And then after that, you present the themes, explain to your audience what the themes are about, and you have to give evidence from the data that you have to support the themes that you have. We call it presentation of textual description, right? So you are describing the themes and then adding information about the evidence. If do I have any question?
Coming in,
Yeah.
this level of objectivity seems impossible, and there's a citation to Shine from 2010. I'm not sure if you want to comment on that.
Oh yes, in the Mustaka even emphasize on that. It's very difficult to attain the objectivity, especially when you're doing a qualitative study. So what you are doing is that objectivity might be the gold standard. So you are trying as much as possible to reach that stage, and it's going to be very difficult to do. But at the end of the day, you'll be able to achieve some kind of objectivity because you were able to put aside your preconceived ideas about the issue that you are analyzing. So it's very difficult, yes. The reason why, that's why when you have the same transcript, you give it to two people to analyze, you might get different results because maybe their background might be influencing the information that they are analyzing, right? So this is not um, it's very difficult. It's so difficult to attain, but you have to try to attain that, right? At least you try to set aside all what things that might adversely affect the way you analyze the data. So thank you for your question. Any question? Or if you want to talk, I can give you the chance. Let me see. Does anybody want to talk? Ask a question as I go. I just want you to understand this basic information before we move ahead and do the practical one aspect of it. Okay, so then I'll go ahead and do the presentation. If you want to get access to the link on my PowerPoint, access to my PowerPoint, I've sent the link through the chat box. You can click on it and get access to the PowerPoint. So this is how, so let me use a data that I have. It's not a perfect data, but I'm going to use it to help you to understand how to do the phenomenological reduction process, how to do that using SPSS. So, and then after that, we come back to the third step and the fourth step. So I have a data set. So this, for the purpose of this presentation, let's assume that, we have 6 participants, right? They are faculty members, they are dissertation chairs, and then let's assume that we interview them, right, to find out their experience concerning how the NCAID services help a student to successfully complete their dissertation on time. So this one data, I got it from a survey. It's open-ended questions that we asked them, and they responded to that, those based on what they have experienced, and then I put them on their responses. These are the demographic information. So I provided them with, so I indicated the ID. So you give an identity to each participant, and this information is about the years of experience concerning being a dissertation chair, and also their rank and their campus. And then the last one, information about the experience with our services in terms of how our services are helping students to be able to complete their dissertation. So with this data in mind, we're going to see whether we can use the sequence. Let's assume that we have done the approach, where you try to set aside your perceptions and everything. So you always have to start with your research question, right? So let's assume that this is our research question. What are the dissertation chair's experience about NCAID services in terms of the services contributing the services contribution to student dissertation progress, right? So based on this research question, you come up with a label, right? So we call it anchor code. So you come up with a label to help you to represent the research question. So the label for this research question is dissertation chair experiences, right? So with this, you put all the demographic information on the Excel spreadsheet. So in terms, if you have done interview, you put all the information in the Excel spreadsheet, demographic information. And then the next column, you put the label that represents the research question there, so participant experiences, right? And then you go back to your transcript, right? If this one was an interview, I go back to my transcript, and then based on the research question concerning capturing the experience, I identify significant information, right, or relevant information that will help me to address my research question. So I go through the transcript and I pick out the relevant information, right? So this means that you are not going to take all the information from the transcript to NVivo. You just go through and take relevant experience that will help you to address your research question back to, so you put them here. So for, let's say participant, the second participant, we go through their transcript, and these are the information that we identify that we think might address the research question. We go through the third participant transcript, and these are the information. So you can see that when I state the first information, I indicate 1. This means that this is the first significant information. When you add the second significant information, you indicate 2. Let me show you. Okay, so you can see here that there's a first significant information I identify from the transcript. I put it here, and then I go through the transcript again. I identify second one, I indicate second. This will help you to separate significant information. You don't want to add them as one. It will help you when you're analyzing the data. You know that, okay, this is relevant information. This is second relevant information. So based on the research question, you gather all this information that you think might help you to address your research question. You bring them back here. When you bring them back to this place, you go through all the relevant information again to take out any repetition. So as you can see, you go through the transcript, you read with the research question in mind, you identify relevant statements about participant experience, and then you put all of them in Excel spreadsheet, right? In addition, with their demographic information. And then you go through the relevant information again to take out any repetition. There you might see that maybe participant A experience that you have put there might be similar to participant C experience. So what do you have to do? You have to take one of them out, right? Because we want an experience that can represent a group of experiences. Right, we don't want to take out any repetition. So you first take out, bring the relevant information, go through, take out any overlapping experiences, any repetition from the significant information. So you see how you are reducing your data. You are separating good information from, I don't want to say bad information, but irrelevant information based on what you're looking at, right? Then after that, you save your information. You save after you have deleted all the information that are repetitive. You save it and you give it a name. And after saving it, I've already saved it, so that's why I don't want to save it again. You close it, right? Then you open Imaginative. So this means that now you're going to send all the information back to SPS, I said SPS, Imaginative for you to do the analysis. So you open Imaginative, you click on blank project, and then I'll name my project TPA, Transcendental Phenomenological Analysis Project. So you can give it any other name that you want, depends. So after that, you import the Excel file here so that you start the analysis. So what do you do in terms of importing? You go to data, you go to survey. It's not a survey, but because we want it to be imported as an Excel format for you to be able to connect participant demographic information to the participant relevant information, it always go to, send it through as a survey, right? So you click on from, and then you you identify the document, and you click on that. This wizard is just explaining to you how your data will be reorganized, right? So looking at the Excel, all the individual participant information will be put into cases. So this means that participant A demographic information plus their relevant information will be put in one case. Participant B will be also any information about participant B, including their information about their the relevant information that you have, the interview transcript information will all be in one case. So each participant will have his own or her own case, right? The open-ended, this is where, and this one is a close-ended. So this means that all the demographic information will be saved in this, will be transformed into this, it will be saved in this container. I'll always call this container. And the third one is the open-ended questions. You know, think about this as all the data that you're going to analyze, that you're going to do the coding, right? Or that's what you're going to code will be here, right? Will be organized in this kind of container. So this is just an explanation. So you click on next. And so as you can see, this is how the spreadsheet will look like after you've imported. And you click on next again. We don't do anything here. So this one is to make sure that all the variables, all the information that you're going to code should be under open-ended. So you have to make sure that, you know, the open-ended have been indicated. So you can see that, you know, dissertation chair's experience is here. And this information, you are not going to code them, so you indicate close-ended. All the demographic information should be indicated as close-ended. Open-ended means that you're going to do the coding, right? So if you finish, you click on finish. And then you close it. So as you can see, all the information has been imported here, demographic information, all participants from A to A1 to A6. And then when you go to the end, this is where you get all the relevant information that you imported here, right? You added to each, the column that we added concerning relevant information. So this is what you're going to analyze, right? So this is what you're going to code. Any question before I start the coding process? I'm not going to take a long time here because I have a lot of presentation on coding. So I'm just going to be a little bit fast here, but this is how you're going to do the code, import your data. So let me give you the chance. Any question before I go on? I've unmuted all of you, so if you have a question.
Hi.
Yes.
This is Kim. I have a question.
Yes.
Where do we get the tool NVivo?
So the NVivo is, you have to buy it. You have to go to their website. They have a student version, which is about $120 a year. So when you are ready, you can go to their website and they have a student version that you can buy.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And also, if you don't want to buy now, you can use their free version, which is about 14 days. So you can use it for 14 days and then see whether you like their software. And then you can use other ones. Any question?
Yes. Could you tell me what we're looking at now on the screen? That is the software, correct?
Yes, this is a software. Yes, the NVivo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought so. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question for me? So, as I said, I always tell students, your work will be so easy for you if you put everything in Excel spreadsheet before you transfer them here. Because what happens is that all demographic information will be connected to the coding that you're going to do. So you can run analysis, see, okay, which code is connected to a specific participant because you put it in Excel spreadsheet. So that's why I always recommend that put everything in Excel sheet before you bring that information here.
Philip, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
A brief question. On the previous screen, you showed us that we could select closed-ended, open-ended, and you mentioned that all demographic information should be closed-ended. Is it our primary goal is to analyze the relevant information that we input, but is it helpful to us to use NVivo to analyze in all three of those areas to produce some the demographic information for us as well?
Yes, you'll be able to use NVivo to do analyze demographic information. So this means that when you are importing that information, let me give you an example. So some of the demographic information might be that maybe you have to recode them, right? So instead of making that question an open-ended and closed-ended where you cannot code, you can make it open-ended. So when you make it open-ended, it will be like this part where you can code. So now, because I made it the close-ended, I cannot code them, but I will be able to do some analysis that I'll be able to connect these demographic information to the code that I'm going to develop.
Okay, that was exactly what I was looking for. Thank you.
Perfect. You're welcome. Any other question? Okay, so if there's no question, let me mute all of you again and then move on to the next step. So this is where you do the coding process. So you see how the data reduction happens. You have, based on the transcript, you take what you need, right? You leave the rest there, right? And then you bring what you need here to do the analysis. So this is what I need that I want to analyze. So you can see that for so you are going to develop themes. Themes means that you are looking at the significant information and coming up with a phrase that will represent this significant information at the same time addressing your research question. So the themes are doing two things, right? They are representing this information at the same time addressing the research question. So before you set up the teams, you have to click on Notes and you have to create, what do we call it, a folder, right? So you right click on the node, you create a folder, and you can say that notes for maybe the research question. If you have more than one, more than one research, you can say research question. And you click on OK. So you can see here that I have a folder here. This is where you're going to, this is what you're going to code the information in. So think of it as a container. You have created a container that you're going to drop the themes inside, right? Okay. So after that, if you have more than one research question, then you click on this and on this page you right click and create another folder or another folder so you can say that you create maybe folder for research question 1 or folder for research question 2. But because for this example I have only one research question, so I don't have to create more folders or containers because I have one research question. So every code should go in one container, one research question. So after that you go back here and see, okay, looking at this significant information, what kind of phrase can I use to represent this information at the same time addressing my research question? Remember, the research question is to capture the experiences of dissertation chair concerning the service that we are providing to students, right? So one dissertation chair indicated that those who take the feedback and apply it are more likely to finish their project on schedule versus those who did not. So you ask yourself, based on the research question, what kind of phrase can I use to represent this? And you can get come up with a phrase called the implementation of NCAID feedback has an positive effect, right? So you can come up with any kind of phrase, but you have to make sure that it's representing the data. For the purpose of this demonstration, you first highlight that information, you right click and you click on code, and then you make sure that you click on the folder that you want to drop the code inside, and then you print on node, new node, and then you give a label to that. So I said implementation of NCADE feedback has a positive effect. So if a student implements our feedback that we give to them, it has a positive effect. It will it will positively affect their progress, right? So this is the phrase that I came up with that is representing this information at the same time addressing my research question. So when you finish, you click on OK. And then you have to go back again. Let's see here. You can go right click on this node and then click on node properties. This is where you describe what this node is all about, right? The reason why you have to do that is when you reach a stage where you have to present the themes, there's a high probability that you'll be able to describe it well because you have already written some description concerning the node, right? You don't have to go back to the significant information and see, okay, what does this code stand for? You have already described the information here. So this is my description concerning this information, right? So you have to describe it so that when you are presenting information, you can go back and see what this information stands for so that you'll be able to describe, give the characteristic of the theme, right? After that, you sometimes click on aggregate. After that, you click on OK. So you go through, you do the same thing to all the statements that you have here, right? So you go to the next statement, you read it and see and think about, okay, so based on this information, what theme should I come up with? What abstract information that can represent this significant information at the same time address my research question that I have. So one abstract information that I can come up with based on this is student willingness to seek NCADE services due to supportive NCADE staff. So I think that, based on this one, the person said that dissertation chair said that the NK staff, they are very helpful, and also it causes students to not to feel reluctant to have access to our services, right? So you right click that, you click on code, and then you click on the node for research question, and you click on new node, and then you type in the the node that the theme that you want to use to represent this information. And when you finish, you click on OK. You see, and then you right click it, you go back to properties, and then you describe what the theme is all about. So I've already done that, so I'm just copying and pasting what I've done. So this is my description concerning the theme, right, that I have. And then after that, you click on OK. So you do the same thing, all the information here. So it's like you are creating containers and you are dropping significant information into those containers, and you label them, right? So these are the labels of the containers. And then you go through all the significant information and do the same thing. Sometimes, because sometimes you want to we call it a memoing. You're trying to write about your reflection concerning the theme that you have developed. You can right click that, and you click on link, memo link, and then you create a memo, right? You give a name to that memo, maybe just student, and then click on OK. And then you type in your personal reflection concerning the theme. Another reason why you have to do that is optional, but it's always good to do that so that when you can come back and see whenever you are describing the themes, you can also, or interpreting the themes, you can come back to what you wrote about your perception about the theme, because new ideas come as you are doing the analysis, and you don't want to lose that information. You want to document that. So you can, you type in and then you save it. So at the end of the day, you'll be able to go back to that information and see what you wrote concerning your personal reflection on with respect to the themes that you develop. So that's how you're going to do with the second stage. So any question? So I'm closing it because I want to show you what I've already done. So let me open what I've already done so that you see. Because of time, I can't go through everything, so just show you how it's done. So let me see here. So as you can see here, I go to notes. So you can see that I created 4 themes, right? And each of the themes represent significant information I uploaded to the system, right? So when you right click, you can see the theme and the meaning of the theme. And so this is what you're going to get if you go through that process. So then what is your next step? Your next step is to report your findings, right? So how do you report? You are, let me see here, 2, 3, okay. So this is what you have to do. So after developing a team, you have to present we call it textual descriptions, right? So you present each theme and give the meaning of the theme, right? What is the meaning of what are the characteristics of the theme? And then evidence is like the relevant information to support the theme, right? So you present each of the themes and then represent the meaning of the theme and the evidence to support them. So we call it, at the end of the day, at the end of the second stage, which is the phenomenological reduction, you have to reach a stage where you present their themes, which is called textual description. You present the themes and I'll give evidence. Most of the students, when they reach this stage, they finish their dissertation. But it's not that. You cannot just present the themes and then the evidence and then finish. You have to move to the next stage, which is called imaginative variation, right? It's called imaginative because you have to think about the possible meanings, right, of the theme that you have developed. So the themes that you have are individual experiences, right? So now you have to find out, is there any link between the themes? Are there any kind of sequence that one theme comes first and another follow? Is there any causal relationship, or are the things happening at the same time in terms of the themes, right? Can we link the theme to participant demographic information? So this one, you're trying to bring all the themes together, including the context and participant characteristics, so that you develop, we call it structural description, right? You put it in the structure. So the first one is like, you have the puzzle, right? The puzzle pieces. You just present the puzzle pieces to your audience. That is the textual description. Now you have to put the puzzle together to illustrate or to form the image that you want to present. That's called structural description. You see that?
So there's a question that's related to this. Is there a way to see a list of the content coded for a single participant? I'm guessing this is an NVivo question.
Is there a way to see the list of content coded for a single participant? Yes. So so when you go to explore and you go to project. So let's say we want to know more about participant A4, right? Or maybe A3. What is really happening? So information about participant A3. So what will happen is that when you click on Add Project, you go to case. So I choose participant A3 and I click on OK. So then you right-click participant A3 and click on Show Associated Items. So on your left side, you can see that you can see who participant A3 is and also what information was connected to the participant A3. So concerning the code that we developed, the participant, there are two main codes that are linked to participant A3. These are them. So you bring them here. You bring the two codes here. Right. So you can see that participant A3 said that student willingness to seek NCATE services due to support you. Okay. And also this one, positive connection between NCATE's resources and quality I didn't bring of dissertation document. So these are the two themes that is connected to participant A3. But you want to find out who is participant A3. Then you go to attributes. This is where you can get more information about participant A3. Participant A3 has 7 years experience. Participant A3 is from organizational psychology, organizational leadership Ph.D. program from Chicago. Yeah, so this one will help you to know who participant A are, and you can click on this one to make it the diagram very nice. So you see how we can connect the code to a specific participant. And this one you can present it, especially when you want to give an example. Let's say you are presenting information about this team, right? You describe the team, and then if you want to give an evidence, you can say participant A3, who has 7 years experience and who is from Chicago campus, indicated that, and then you quote participant A3. You see how easy that you'll be able to connect all the participant characteristics with the teams that you developed. So you can do that. You can go to Explore and add project, and you'll be able to see what you're going to get from that place. Any other question?
There is another question. Is there a way for NVivo to parse the data into themes? It appears that the researcher must do so. And then another question that I guess we can get to after.
The first question, can you repeat the first question again? I didn't get it.
Is there a way for NVivo to parse the data into themes? It appears that the researcher must do so.
Yes, the researcher must do so. So people have misconception about this software. They thought when you upload all the information there, it's going to do some magic for you. There are some things that it can do for you, like can autocode for you, or it can do Explore and get a big picture of your data, like word frequency. You can go there. I just want to show you something quickly. You can get word cloud from there. So it can give you the number of words, the kind of words they use and how many times they use it. It gives you some big picture, but when you want to start a coding process, you as a researcher have to assign labels to the system. So this software helps you to organize your data very well, easy compared to doing it manually. It helps you to develop visual representation like what I did right now. It helps you to communicate your information well, but it doesn't help you with the really real coding process. You have to do it. Any other question?
So the last question here now is this functionality available in all versions of NVivo?
Yes.
It pertains to the question about the content that's coded for a single participant.
Yes, it's available except the basic one, so it's available for Plus and Pro. So you have to make sure that you buy either Plus or Pro. So for you to, if you buy the basic one, you might not get this function. Okay, so where are we? So we have reached a stage where we want to, I was making an illustration concerning, analogy concerning solving a puzzle, right? So you have presented the pieces of the puzzle, the themes to your audience. Now you have to bring them together to develop a structural description. So how do you do that? The software can help you to do that. It will help you to think about how the themes are related so that you can come up with explanation in terms of the connection between the themes. So you go to explore and you go to, let me close this one. So you go to explore and you go to cluster analysis. So you want to find out the relationship between the node or the themes that you have developed. This one will help it will inform you about how to link, determine the link between which one comes first, how are they related. So you click on next, you select your information from the nodes. So you check all the themes, you click on OK, and then you are not looking for word similarities, you are looking for coding similarities. So you click on finish, and then this is what you're going to get, right? So this information will help you to see, okay, I think based on the system in terms of the code similarities, this one, which is positive connection between NCAID services and quality of dissertation document, is quite linked to the willingness to seek NCAID services, right? So based on that, ask yourself, can we say that there's a link between that? Is there any information that participant gave that can help you to see that whether there's a link, right? So this is where you come up with explanation. That's why we call it imaginative variation. You come up with a lot of meanings, and then based on that you determine which one best represents the information participant gave you. So this is what I came up with. Let me show you this. So this one is just a visual representation of what you have to think about. So based on the 4 themes, and based on this diagram from cluster analysis, I think that when students contact NCAID at the early stage, there's high probability for them to finish on time, right? Work on their dissertation and finish on time. And if they assess our resources, there's high probability. If they receive feedback, there is also high probability for them to finish. If they implement our feedback, there's high probability. So this is the first interpretation of your first meaning that you come up with. It doesn't mean that it represents the information. You have to imagine the possible explanation or the meaning of participant experience. This is one of the meanings. So you ask yourself, what if they receive feedback and they don't implement the feedback? Would they be able to finish? Maybe not. So maybe you come up with a second possible meaning. So maybe when they finish, they receive feedback from us and they implement the feedback, there's high probability for them to finish. So you see how I've developed a second explanation based on the first. These are all possible explanations. Then I go back to the third one. And I say, okay, if they've received feedback from us and they implement the feedback, and also it might also promote other students to be willing to contact us because we provided them with a very good feedback and maybe they are happy about that. and also other students will contact us, and also there's high probability for them to finish on time. So at the end of the day, there's kind of ripple effect. They receive feedback from us, they implement the feedback, they finish on time. It also costs people, sometimes when students contact me, they say, okay, I talked to one student and they said that you'll be able to help me, right? So because of the positive feedback that we are getting from other students, they also inform other students to contact us, and then it also helps them to complete. So you see how I've developed 3 explanations based on the themes. Then you ask yourself, which one of them represent the information that you collected from participants? This is where you also go back to the relevant information that you got, and then see, is any of these explanation making sense based on the information that you collected from participants? So based on that, you come up with maybe one of the best explanation, or maybe you have to combine the 2 possible explanation to come to form a structural description, right? So in your case, sometimes you have to describe participant background in connection with the theme, so that you try to come up with a meaning that represent participant experience. Sometimes you have to bring the context, right? So at the end of the day, you have to come up with an explanation that combines participant background information, maybe the context, and also the theme that you have developed, right? So it's, as I told you, it's not an easy process. It's labor intensive in the sense that you have to continue to think and think and think and block your own perception about the issue. Because I am one of the methodology experts in NCADE, and I am analyzing the data, you see the bias? Because I'm expecting that there's going to be a positive experience for students concerning our services. So if I don't block my biases and background, I will be only looking at the positive things in the data, positive experience, without taking a look at the negative things that the dissertation chairs also talk about concerning our experience. So it's always good, always, you have to continuously think about your biases. Try to block it as you go through these stages.
So there was another question regarding NVivo. If you are using multiple coders, your other coders would also complete this process, and so then you, as the researcher, compare what you have uncovered compared to them, and then create another set of themes?
Oh yes, you can do that. This is another way of, increasing the credibility of your findings, right? In order for you to increase the credibility, we call it, is it member checking, or there's another name for that, I've forgotten. But it's always good to have, maybe if you have the resources, to have a second coder to do that. And then you guys can meet, right, and have a discussion. So how did you come up with this code? Oh, okay, so can we put it together to come some kind of agreement? I think it will help you to increase the credibility, and there's high probability for you to come up with an information that will represent participant experience. Yeah. Any other question? Okay, so the last stage is the synthesis of meanings, right? This is also another tough stage that you have to pass through if you are using transcendental phenomenological analysis, right? So it's all about, developing an underlying meaning. I don't know whether you are noticing the process. It looks like I'm moving from participant-specific experience to an abstract experience. At the same time, I'm not losing the meaning of their experience. So what I'm coming up with, I'm developing something abstract here, but still this information can represent participant experience. So you have moved to the last stage where you want to come up with a meaning that will represent the data that you have, right? And it's quite closer to structural description, but it goes a little bit further to come up with, like, can I say, a theory or a preposition that can represent participant experience. So we talk about, it's like a logical principle, right? So you are developing an underlying meaning with respect to participant experience. And then, so it's all about combining the structural description to with the textual description, right? So the textual description focuses on what is the experience, or in terms of what was the experience, right? So the first day we developed a team, and we told, and the team represent what they have experienced, right? The second one is how they experience it. That's the process. So you see that the diagram I gave you is a process. So I want to find out what stage comes first, right? Which team influence the other team, right? So the first team is all about the structure, the textual one, you are just describing the team. The second one is connecting, presenting how participants experience the phenomenon. The third one is combining the two, right, to come up with the essence. So how do you come up with that? So this is what I came up with. I tried to connect both the structural and the textual descriptions. And this is what I came up with, right? So I'm not saying that you can put in the diagram, but this one in your presentation can present it as a statement, like a logical principle. Like, if this happened, this will follow and this will happen, right? So as you can see that if dissertation chair encourages the student to contact NCAID at any earlier stage, and they assess our resources and apply what they have learned, there's a higher probability for them to finish their dissertation maybe on time, right? And another one too, if they make sure that students receive and also implement the feedback that they receive from the supportive staff, right? There's high probability for them to finish on time. So it is quite related to the diagrams that I've done, but this one is it's like a principle. This one, you can even do a further study, which is quantitative study, to test this hypothesis or this proposition, whether what I'm saying is true. So you see how we started from identifying significant information from participants' experience, reducing it to themes, connecting the themes, trying to bring all the context and what do we call it? The participant characteristics and the themes together. And at the end of the day, we generate a preposition called the essence of the experience, the underlying meaning. This is the end of the stages, the process concerning transcendental. So as you can see here, this is a process, right? So there are 4 processes and this is a product. You start with approach, right? Trying to think about all your biases, your background, and trying to reach a bias-free state. After you go through the process, this is what you're going to get. Then the second stage, phenomenological reduction. You get a textual description, the themes that you came up with, and you describe the theme, you bring evidence to support the theme. Then you have to be a little bit imaginative, right? Think about a possible explanation, try to connect the themes with the participant background or participant demographic information and also the context. And based on that, you come up with structural description. And then based on the structural description, you synthesize it to come up with essence of the experience. That we can even call it a theory or a proposition that explains or help us to understand participant experience or represent participant experience. So it's a systematic process of moving from concrete data, which is what the participant gave you, right, to abstract concepts and underlying meanings that represent the data that you have, at the same time addressing your research question that you have. So this is what I have for you. I think I'm gone beyond my time. Is there any question for me? I'll be happy. If you are using Transcendental Phenomenological Approach, you can contact me. If you have any question, we can meet one-on-one and see how we can help you to work on it. But do you have any question? I can open the, you can, I've unmute all of you. You can ask me question. I'll be happy to address them for you. I hope you gain something from this. You can see that it's an intensive process. It's more of reflection, thinking about what you're doing, thinking about your background, thinking about, and you have to document the process. So
I have two questions.
Yes. Yes.
One is, are you going to post this somewhere so I can watch? I came in late, so I wanted to watch it again so that I get the whole presentation.
Yes, I'm recording it, so I'll post it on YouTube and I can send you the link when you email me.
Yeah, this is Jeremy, by the way.
Yeah, Jeremy, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing fine. I was really fascinated. I just, I'm really, wanting to use that in Vivo when I collect my data sometimes in January. But what I was also interested in, do we get a discount for that NVivo software at all? Is there a student discount for us?
They have a student version when you go to their website. It's $120 for 1 year, so you can get a student version. So you can even email me. I can send you the link directly to.
Oh,
and then
okay. Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question for me?
No, just thank you very much. This is Phil. I appreciate this presentation.
Thank you so much for coming. Yeah. Sure. Any question for me? What do you think? Anything that I have to explain further? What is so? Is it anything that is difficult to accomplish?
We didn't talk about phenomenological analysis being transcendental versus other forms, but so much of qualitative research that I'm familiar with seems to lend itself to the transcendental. I actually had to kind of get my head around, is that the genre within the genre when it comes to phenomenological categories, and I think it is, because I'm trying to extract meaning from the lived experience of individual leaders as an OL, researcher. So maybe just a word or two on transcendental phenomenology versus NVivo, which is what we're really doing here.
Yes, we have, as you can see from this PowerPoint too, I did a presentation on using social media to analyze your data. So we have two main types of phenomenological approach. We have the transcendental and also I find it very difficult to pronounce the hermeneutic phenomenological approach. And most of the researchers focus on what Mustakas has described as the best way of analyzing participant experience, which is the transcendental phenomenological approach. But you could even use the general phenomenological approach. The most important thing is to be able to bracket your experiences as you are analyzing the data. You have to go through everything and develop themes or maybe codes, and then you can categorize the codes to develop themes. One thing that is very particular about Transcendental is that you don't have to develop codes. You technically, you first take out what information you want from participant responses and then go straight ahead and develop a team. The information that you are taking you are just, that information should represent a group of experiences. So based on participant responses, you can see that a group of participants are having similar experience. Can you take one of participant description of experience to represent maybe 5 participants that are talking about the same experience before you analyze the data? From other analysis, you have to take all the information to NVivo and start the coding process without taking the relevant information and analyzing. So you have to go, if you want to do the traditional phenomenological approach, you have to just analyze all the data, right? Start with the code, and then after coding, you categorize them into categories, and then you develop things based on that. This is a traditional way of doing a qualitative analysis, but it all depends on the specific approach that you want to use. And for each,
well, that's interesting. That's interesting because no coding would be needed in Transcendental, is what I heard you say. Maybe that was wishful thinking.
Yeah, it depends on how we define coding. For Transcendental, what you are doing is that you go straight ahead and develop themes, because you have, and it's so, I'm just thinking about maybe one day what I will do is that for the same participant responses or for the same transcript, I will use Transcendental and pass through that process, and also the same one I will use the traditional data analysis and see whether I will be able to arrive at a similar result. I might, because I think both have the similar kind of process of reducing the data to get some information that will represent the participant experience, right? All of them are doing data reduction, but they have various ways of arriving at the same or similar results. So I will try and do the two different kind of analysis with the same kind of document and see whether I can get the same result or different result. That's going to be very interesting.
So is there one, do you prefer one or the other? Just the general phenomenological analysis?
The Transcendental one is new to me. I'm used to doing the simple process that, I have a lot of I have a PowerPoint on that. The one that is where you upload all the information to NVivo and start the coding process. You start by coding all of the data and have code and then categorize them and go to categories and based on the category develop a theme. That's a traditional way of doing the data analysis. But if you say that you want to do Transcendental, then it makes sense to follow what Mustaka has presented to us. When you go to this website, I have a lot of PowerPoint. There's a PowerPoint that I think, let me see. If I click on most popular one, yes, I think this is one that is, okay. So I just want to show you a diagram very quick.
This is for the regular one?
Yeah, this is for the regular one. So this is the regular one. So as you can see here, for the coding process, this is the real information. This is the participant experience. So you started with the coding, right? You code, you can get about 120 codes, and then you go to the sorting, where you put them into, based on the similarities of the code, you call in the develop categories, right? And then you do the synthesizing. This is where you try to combine some of the categories to develop themes. And then last one, based on the themes, you come up with the theory, right? Abstract general meaning that represent participant experience. So for the Transcendental, you will reach the same theoretical one. You can see that, the theorizing is the one that the last step that we talk about for the Transcendental, which is the synthesizing of themes, right? Developing the essence, right? So, so it's like you might arrive at the same thing, but the different way. So you have to take the one that you feel comfortable doing. But I think if you are using Transcendental, you have to do this process. I think it will be credible for you to follow the steps provided by Mustakas if you are using Transcendental. But if you are doing a general phenomenological process, you can use this one. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Abu. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
You earlier when you were giving your demonstration, you talked about once we've put in the relevant data that we would take out the repetitive experiences. But if we were doing a regular data analysis, the repetitive experiences would lend strength to, let's say we have 5 participants and 3 were saying the same, having the same experience, that would lend some strength to our analysis. So that too might be the difference between transcendental and regular phenomenology analysis, qualitative analysis.
That is perfect. Yes. So we call it the frequency. How many times you assign the code to a specific significant information. So as we said,
Sure.
if 10 participants are saying the same thing, this means that the code you assign the code to the information will be assigned to that 10 times, right? So this means that the more time they are saying, the dominant the code, and the code can be generated to themes, right? So
yeah.
There is some differences, and this is one of the main differences. And then for the transcendental, you will not accomplish that because you have already taken an experience that represents the group of experiences, right, to NVivo. So it's not like a repetition. You have already taken out the repetitive aspect of it, repetitive aspect of the thing. So
yes,
thank you for bringing it up. It's very good.
Yeah.
Any other?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other thing? Okay, if there's no question, I just want to thank you for your time. If you have any question for me, this is my information. You can email me, and I'll be happy to address them for you. You can email NCAID if you want to book an appointment for those students who are with us. I'm talking about TSPP students. You can also follow me on Twitter. I sometimes post information that will be useful for you. So thank you for your time, and I wish you all the best.
Oh, thank you. I'll reach you for a question that I had, and I know it's more specific to me.